Well, welcome everyone. We are so excited that you're here and we welcome you. We welcome you to this Q&A, to this real stories from real moms that are in the inner circle. And we are here for you and they are here for you. And they're going to share a little bit about their story that's going to inspire you and encourage you. And then we're going to answer your questions because my inbox is overflowing with questions. So that's why we're here for you. And I thought, you hear enough from me. Like, I'm tired of listening to myself talk. So I'm so glad that they have agreed that they are going to share and you get to hear it from them. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Shannon, for being willing to be here. And thank you to everybody else that's coming here to learn more. So it's going to be really fun and you're going to be encouraged and inspired during this time. So I'm gonna kind of popcorn around, and what I thought is we'll go, since you're first in my view, Sarah, we'll start with you. And what I'm thinking that we will do is you share a little bit about your personal story and your struggles and where you were at, when you joined the inner circle, like what led you to join. Then we'll go with Liz and then Shannon can share. And then I'll come back and I want you to share with them some of the things that you learned that you started practicing and the difference that it made. And then what I'm going to ask you is what do you like the most about the inner circle? What do you find the most valuable to the growth that you're having and experiencing? And then we'll go into the questions and I'll answer some and you all can answer some as well. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So Sarah, why don't you introduce yourself, the ages of your kids, where you're from, and and tell a little bit about your personal story.
Sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Greening, and I live in Southeast Wisconsin, kind of right between Chicago and Milwaukee, along Lake Michigan. My husband and I have two teenage boys, both of whom just had a birthday. They're now 16 and 14. My oldest just got his driver's license yesterday, so that's exciting and scary at the same time. Before the inner circle, I should say both of my children have struggled with anxiety. Our oldest is high functioning on the autism spectrum. Normal people probably wouldn't notice any difference with him, but he had a lot of issues growing up with transitions, sleeping, social situations, noises, sensory type things. And he also struggles with some depression and anxiety. My youngest, who's 14, was diagnosed with ADHD last March at the time when I joined the inner circle. So that's kind of a new thing we're still working through. And he also had generalized anxiety disorder diagnosed a few years earlier. But since seeing a therapist, he also has social anxiety. So COVID was really tough for our family. And I had difficulty connecting with my children, mostly my oldest. We were very different. Being addicted to technology was a struggle. Being non-motivated in school and wanting to do anything but sit in their room and on their phones. So those are the biggest things that I struggled with. A lot of yelling, a lot of disrespect, just not doing the things we asked them to do and me not following through with consequences. Those were the biggest things I struggled with.
Yeah. And so when you heard about the inner circle, what led you to decide to sign up?
Well, I think I've told you this before. It was either start therapy, find a therapist, find a counselor for myself on how to work with my kids, how to talk with my husband. We were both on different pages with raising our kids. I was definitely more of a pushover and he was the disciplinarian. So we really didn't have the similar upbringing. And so that was difficult. And I had joined this 3-day workshop last March. And I thought, well, this is it. I either do therapy or I start learning from you. And so that really, I really needed to fix my relationships with my children and my husband. And it's like night and day. I keep telling everybody in the group, both in the inner circle and not in the inner circle, this is life changing for me.
Thank you, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And if you feel like you want to share in the comments where you're relating or if you have a similar challenge in your home when the moms are sharing, feel free to do that and just respond to everyone. We're all about me too here. So Liz, you're up.
All right, excuse me. Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Els, and I am from Phoenix. I live in, well, I would say sunny Phoenix, but today it's raining, and we are very excited about it. It's so rare. My husband and I have one daughter. She is 13 and adopted. And for the most part, that actually doesn't really play into much, except when we go to medical appointments. So. But it is relevant because it has had an impact in the past. When I came to the group before that, she has started out super shy and then became way more outgoing and was just this bubbly, bright, friend to everybody kind of kid. And then hit middle school and COVID at the same time. I mean, the pandemic and middle school happened. And I think that, at least for her, that was like the worst combination possible. And after the first year, she turned into somebody I didn't really recognize. She was became more introverted and disrespectful and moody. And now I look back after being here for a year, that's a lot of normal, but I didn't take her side. And I think that that was the big struggle that we had, was I wasn't listening. There was a lot of yelling. I feel like I'm going to echo some of what Sarah said, and that there was a lot of yelling, but a lot of not listening, a lot of not taking her side and taking the side of other kids, her friends, because as she got introverted, she became more antagonistic to other people, not just us. But this has been, it sounds very typical, but our friends stopped seeing us. That was kind of interesting. I mean, not just the pandemic, but our friends started isolating from us because of the behaviors. And she doesn't have any behavioral diagnoses. She was recently diagnosed with celiac, which opened a whole new world of emotions for her and things that we're dealing with that I never really thought would impact behaviors, but it does. And it turns out celiac has a lot to do with behaviors as well. It doesn't have an impact on behavior as well. But she and I had a great relationship, and then it changed dramatically. And now we are starting to rebuild that and hopefully reconnect.
Thank you, Liz. And so how did you come upon the inner circle?
I think I'm going to echo Sarah again. I actually I joined last March, and the parenting reboot, the class was the first introduction. I actually found your blogs, and there was something about reading them, and I would send them to my friends. I would send some of the blog posts, and I'm like, you've got to read this. Oh my gosh, could you believe, we're living this. And then I found the reboot class, and when the inner circle came up, I was like, I have to do this. I absolutely have to do this. So I actually will say I am so grateful that I joined at the same time as Sarah and Shannon, because I think Shannon, yeah, that this has been tremendous. But it was that need for community and that need for kind of people who weren't going to judge, because we were being isolated a little bit. And I mean, COVID isolated everybody, but it felt a little more isolating. And this was a place you can just tell that the inner circle was going to be a place where people didn't judge and people shared. And no matter the issue, there was something that we had in common. And the biggest thing that I kept seeing was that everybody wanted to do the right thing, whatever that right thing was for their family. People wanted to be better, and not that that's exclusive to the inner circle, but it was just a place to be real and to be honest. And I kind of still get choked up about it, because I tell my friends that I'm with you. This changed my life. I'm not great at this. It did not perfectly change my family, but it definitely has made a tremendous impact.
Yeah. Well, I'm there with you because we want that magic pill. Jen talked about that last night. We want that magic pill, but we're in process together. And there's comfort in that. I mean, it's like a double-edged sword. It's like, what? I remember when I got my mom's group like 19 years ago, okay, I remember saying to the woman that led it, I'm like, well, after a year, I think I'll be ready to go. And she's like, because we're always working on our relationships. Our kids are still developing and changing. And as Shannon knows, having an older one, then they leave, but then that looks a little different. And there's a whole nother letting go. So I think that that's very helpful to just acknowledge that we're all in this, we're not alone in it. And it doesn't mean it's perfect or that it's ever going to be perfect, but we can learn to, to be in relationship with each other when it's not perfect. So yeah, thank you for making that point. Thank you, Liz. All right, Shannon, you're up. So
I'm up. My name is Shannon.
A little bit about your story and where you live.
Sure. You betcha. Okay. My name is Shannon. Yep. Hello, everyone. I'm from Abbotsford, British Columbia in Canada. So I feel it's wonderful because we're all from all over the place. I think that's so amazing. Like last night or this morning, somebody was from India. Like I feel like that's so amazing that we can all come together and we all have something in common. The need or the want, I think, to change the current situation because we wouldn't be here if everything seemed perfect or we weren't working on ourselves. So I feel like when I first joined, or not before I joined, what attracted me to this group was that everything you were posting, Cheryl, was speaking to me, parroting, Liz and Sarah as well. It's like all the articles you were posting, I could totally relate to them all. And I was passing them out to my friends and saying, look, we're in this. Look she knows everything. It's like she's talking directly to us. So that's what attracted me to you. And then after that, I just thought, like Sarah, I felt like my husband and I have a 17-year-old, well, okay, he's 18 now. He was 17 when I joined, and a 12-year-old girl who's now 13, because I've been a member for about a year now, 14 months to be exact. But my son has the driving desire for autonomy. Big time. He wants to be grown up so fast. I don't know why, but that's just who he is. My daughter is in middle school and she struggles a bit with, just middle school in general. Everybody kind of knows, if everybody has a mom in middle school, we all know what middle school was like. So what I found was when I first saw your ads and your articles, I felt like to use your words, our Titanic, our very own Titanic was sinking. I felt like I had been such a controlling parent for so long because that's how I thought, the old ways, how it worked. I thought if I could control everything and make everything go the way it's supposed to go, then everything would look like it should, like the stories I was telling myself. So in doing that, I definitely was creating a lot of information with my 17-year-old son, helicopter parenting him for far too long. I should have let go way sooner, but I didn't know way sooner. So I only knew all this after I joined the Inner Circle and learned how to connect and communicate with our children differently, which sorry, I'm just getting a call. I'm just gonna end that. Sorry, I don't know how to do that. Anyway, sorry to get distracted, ladies. I was feeling the need to constantly control my son out of the stories I was telling myself and the visual that I had for what I thought it should look like in life, like him going to college, him, being successful. This is how it had to look. So the stories we tell ourselves are huge. I didn't realize all this until I started with the Inner Circle, and your teachings taught us that that's something that we do without knowing that we do it. So that was invaluable to turning around our Titanic, because once I learned all that, I started dealing with my kids differently, talking to them differently. My son actually got to the point where he moved out because the information was so great. My boundaries were all wishy-washy. My husband and I had problems with boundaries. We didn't really know how to do that, but we just thought, well, I don't know, this is all out of control. So he moved out. It broke all of our hearts. It was really hard for us to accept, but we had to stop and do something different, which is what I did. It made me, that catalyst made me jump headfirst into the moms, tweens and teens, because I knew something had to change. it was either that or my relationship with my 17-year-old son will be lost forever. So that is kind of our story. Fast forward to a year later, all of the things that I've learned in the inner circle, I started implementing, and amazingly so, just following the process, it started working. It caused all the inflammation to decrease with my daughter as well, but mostly with my son. We started connecting better on a heart level because I started learning how to do that through this group. We started getting more into relationship over task, which then made him feel like he had a safer place. And then he moved back home. So yay. So after 7 or 8 months, after me putting all these things into place, and he actually verbalized throughout the whole time the difference and the changes that he was seeing with me. And it was so amazing how we could actually have conversations that didn't end up heated and yelling and with us going to our rooms and slamming our doors and, you know, feeling like, oh my gosh, this is just too much. How do we fix this? It actually turned around 100%. So I have to say that that's due to this group. So that's my story. Mhm.
I remember when you first, I mean, each one of you was going through this, but I remember, Shannon, when that happened and you were implementing some boundaries and limits. And I remember when that happened and how painful that was. And I relate to that. It's
Yeah.
like you, and yet how much your relationship has improved, and now he's
Oh.
back. And now it's
100%. Yeah. And like we just had a little conversation at dinner last night over boundaries, just because it's never perfect. It's perfectly imperfect and we're always working on it. But the difference last night, and this is something I was thinking, I can't believe this. The difference last night was when we were having the discussion at the dinner table, which is lovely that we all sit down and have dinner, but it started to get kind of like pushing on boundaries a bit. And I was able to use different language. Instead of acting like the warden of the prison, which is what they used to call me, I started saying, can I explain to you why maybe you feel like I'm going back? Because my son had said, Mom, I feel like the last couple of days you've fallen backwards a bit in your old ways, because he knows I've got new ways. And so I said, oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I feel like I am too, because I was starting to feel like I needed to control again, because, you know, we go back to our old habits. And what I stopped and said then, instead of saying, well, this is because you're doing this and that, is I said, can I tell you why I'm doing that? Maybe, Dallas, maybe because I'm feeling a little bit concerned. And so then he said, sure. And we talked about it. And we had this grown-up conversation at the dinner table where we talked about our feelings and maybe why it was leading us to act a certain way or say certain things. And so it was amazing because all of us were listening. My little girl, you know, she's only 13 now, totally was watching the whole thing. And I thought, this was such a healthy thing. And we never used to have this because we'd end up fighting and leaving the room and everybody upset. But we did last night. And it actually ended up being a very good conversation and on it with honesty. So yeah, amazing, just amazing things, amazing.
That's beautiful, Shannon.
Mhm.
Thank
Mhm.
you. It's so encouraging. We talk a lot in the inner circle about control versus having influence.
Yeah.
So if you join, we work a lot on that. And how do we let go of that control? Letting go of control doesn't mean that we let go of our boundaries and limits. It looks very different. How do we actually engage with our kids in a way where it's going to improve our relationship and they're going to want to, I don't want to say go along with the program. That's not the best way to say it. But we're going to get their buy-in into, you know, they're gonna understand, like you were saying. We're gonna be able to talk more from a heart level.
Yeah, the language is different.
Yeah, getting to what's really going on.
Mhm.
Jen had messaged me privately and said, you know, talk about the mentor groups. So I wasn't going to directly ask that, but we'll just kind of launch into that because each one of you has participated in a small group. And so, Sarah, I know that has been, when you talk about like, what's your favorite thing about, one of your favorite things about the inner circle, I know you've seen the benefit of the mentor groups. And what changes have you made
Well, to like go off of that, the mentor group is so, I don't have a word for it. It just feels so like emotional in a good way. Um, it makes your heart feel tender, non-judgmental. You get to share so much about what you're going through and listen to other moms without getting any advice. Unless you want it. Obviously, we can help offer it. But I love the mentor groups. I love sitting together. It's just like this with 5 or 6 other moms or however many there are. It's intimate. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. What was the question you asked? What have I learned? What am I implementing?
Yeah, what did you like about I kind of threw 2 at you.
That's okay. I want to make sure I answer them.
Yeah, so the mentor group and explain what it is a little bit. Can you share a little
Okay,
bit about
so yep.
like mentor group? What is that?
Yep. So the Cheryl has a handful of moms that are qualified leaders and mentors that lead a group just like this on Zoom in person, where you see each other's faces. And then the day you can't or aren't able to show your face, that's fine. You can still listen in. And it gives everybody a chance to check in. There's questions that go along with each week of the 8-week program. So she'll take the reflection questions from the week and she'll have you dig through and kind of be introspective and think about your life and your past growing up and what your childhood was like and how does that affect your parenting. And then you answer some reflective questions and then the mentor will help guide and lead the conversation and everybody has a chance to share. And some of us cry. A lot of times we cry and we feel safe and it's a very confidential environment. We give each other grace to be honest and genuine, and what's said in each Zoom call stays in that Zoom call. We don't go chatting about it with anybody else or place judgment. That's kind of how the mentor groups work. And you're with that same group for the whole 8-week program. And there's different times available. Cheryl will ask you what times work best for you. And sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes they're at night. So you'll be put in the one that works with your schedule.
Yeah.
Thank you. You did a really good job explaining that.
Good.
Yeah. Liz, what have you found the most helpful in the inner circle?
It's 2 things, the mentor groups and the community, which actually kind of stemmed from the mentor groups. But I was fortunate. I had Jen twice, the second time on purpose. I would have begged had that not worked out. But I was also fortunate that Shannon was in my first mentor group too. So it is like your own group of people that you're going to meet with once a week. You're going to meet once a week and you can share the things that make you cry. So yes, there's crying, but they're the things that are just maybe the most agonizing or the most, oh, wow, this worked. Did you ever think of this? I mean, the last session, and I will continue to do them because they're so amazing, was, oh yeah, mine's adopted. Oh, white. We have there were a couple of us with celiac. So I got some insights into how that does impact life and just different things. I just think that being able to come in, and I was actually listening to them in the car at the beginning. I would be, the first 15 minutes I was always trying to rush home to get there so that I could do the face-to-face. But they made such an impact. And then that built the community because then I would be go to other classes or go to the Zoom calls. And I would recognize people and I would hear successes. And so I was able to, you're able to celebrate each other's successes. And when somebody says, oh, this happened, or I could share maybe a relapse in my own behavior where, oh, I messed up. I wasn't listening. I didn't do this. And they're like, you know what, get up, brush yourself off, just keep going. And that support that is available in the inner circle, you can get that with a friend group, but I'm using my daughter's term now, but the inner circle gives you that group of women who really get it in ways that so many people don't. And it rubbed off on my husband. I kept saying, oh, I'll share some of the information. And all of a sudden our communication improved. And both of us working with my daughter, mine. Okay, so, today she's mine. But the community and the mentor groups are my favorite part.
I love hearing that because it is, I always compare it to a wind chime, because when we begin to make these changes, then our family does catch it. It might take a little bit of time, but they notice that we're interacting differently. And then we can share what we're learning. A lot of times I would be trying to teach my husband or preach to him. But then when I started making the changes and sharing more about what I was learning rather than trying to make him learn something, it went very differently. There was more of a humility in it. And I'm working on this in my life and how I parent, not you need to do this differently. It's very different. And we started really getting more on the same page. So I love to hear when that happens. And all three of you have had that happen. And I also love, Liz, how you were saying, but then there were other moms in your group that somebody that had celiac too, like how each group you end up being put with people and you're like, wow, this is really special how this person's struggling. I know you've said that, Sarah, that you've had kids, that they've had kids with autism or on the spectrum or ADHD in your group. And you weren't expecting that, but that's how it worked out. So that's really special when that happens. So Shannon, how about you with the mentor groups, and what have you found most helpful in the inner circle?
Well, I think for me, the inner circle, once I joined the inner circle and did the 8-week program, I always thought I'm going to do the 8-week program, then I'm going to jump ship. I'm going to get what I need out of it, and then I'm going to use it, and then I'm going to go, and I'm not going to, be a member for a long, long time. That's just not the case. I'm going to tell you, ladies, if you join the inner circle, you're going to stay in the inner circle, because what you get from joining next level, which is the inner circle, to me, that was next level up, you're leveling up, is you get all the mentor groups, which were amazing. Those were life-changing. They still are. I look forward to all of the mentor groups, because you meet all these fabulous women that like Sarah and like Liz, and sometimes you're in there, and then Jen and all the fabulous ladies. You have Becky working with you, Trisha. I feel like you gain this level of support that you just didn't have. Now, I know we all have friend groups privately, like personally, we all have our own friends, and we have people in the neighborhoods we hang around with. But really, when you have these personal relationship issues, they're very private and sacred. You have to really trust and feel comfortable to feel vulnerable. And I feel like it wasn't until I got into the mentor groups and meeting these women and seeing them face to face and knowing, oh, wow, we're actually just like, we're in the same room, we're just on Zoom, but it felt like there was a connection there with like-minded moms that wanted to be there. Everybody was there for the same reason. We all loved our children so much that we want to do better. Like that, none of us are perfect, and we're all learning, and it's continual. But I felt like it's our tribe. We're here, we want to make a difference. We want to change the way things, the status quo. So for me, I think it's the connection with the moms and the feeling of being so comfortable and safe in the mentor groups, that you can be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. We can cry. We've cried for each other. We've cried. So we've gotten to the ugly cry sometimes, which is, not very attractive, but sometimes it just happens and you just go with it. But every time I've left a mentor meeting, I felt it was authentic, and I felt like it was safe. I felt like what I shared, even though it was very close to my heart, is going to be safe and sacred in that group. It's like, I never doubted it for a second, and I still don't. So I really look forward to my mentor groups. Like I enjoy them so much. I just get a lot out of it. So that's what I find.
Yeah, I love that, Shannon. You were hesitant to come because it feels pretty, I think all three of you were, and I think every one of us is. You go to a group like that and you think, oh, what am I going to have to share? And so,
because we're all strangers at the beginning too, right?
Yeah.
But then I've made such wonderful friendships. Like it's amazing. So there's a lot of value in them, a lot.
Yeah, and you don't have to share in the beginning if you don't want to share.
No.
And even what you were saying about you can join and you can quit at any time. That's what we always say. And but after you stay for 12 months, you are a lifetime member with no more payments, and you're
Yeah.
like all three of you are. And we keep on doing different things in the inner circle that makes it worth staying, and we're always continuing to do more things to make it supportive. So just know that, but some moms do choose, but not very many. You know, when I look, because we write, you know, very few leave early. And then Shannon, also, when you started getting the support, how did that change? Because you talked about relationships with friends and not wanting to share, but each one of you that's changed a little bit with your friendships, hasn't it?
Yes, very much. Yeah. For me, I have a few friends that actually joined. And that's because, do you want to know why I think that is? It's not because of what I'm talking about, because some people just, you have to be ready to hear as well and be open to what the information you're getting. You know, you have to be open to receiving at that time. But I found that because I was authentic in my excitement, and I mean, my closest friends knew what was going on because I was devastated. My son at 17, 18 years old moved out. I mean, oh my gosh, too soon. So when they saw the relationship turn around with my son, and they witnessed how loving and how calm and how healthy we were all being, and how I was happy. And then when he moved back home, they were amazed at watching the process, really. And then two of my good friends joined because everybody has their own things in their own family. And so they joined, and I keep telling Cheryl, I keep getting these random messages when they have successes in their homes, like when they're practicing, you know, the process. And I get these random messages. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I cannot thank you enough. And I'm just like, wow, Cheryl's changing more lives. Like, it's amazing. It's like a trickle down effect.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. But it's each one of you making those changes, and then it's like a domino effect, and then reaching out. And that's a beautiful thing about this group, is we're all in it together and we're all able to learn from each other. It's funny when each one of you says something, it reminds me, and then I think about it. Like, okay, what's the story you're telling yourself? It's like, yes, I teach that, but that Shannon just said that during a live, and that reminds me to ask myself, what story am I telling myself? So it's like we're all reminding each other.
Yes.
And then,
Always.
you know, yeah, and then posting, like Sarah will post, you know, a mom win and share it. You all do that, and then other moms are like, oh wow, that's great, I think I'm going to try that. And you inspire each other, because we have a big Facebook community too, where you can post and you can ask questions and you can share your mom wins, and we do a lot of fun things in there too. So, and then we're forming, like Sarah has a smaller group within the inner circle that's for moms that have kids with ADHD. And then Jen and I right now are working with some other moms, and anybody that's been in the program for a year can lead a little, you know, offshoot group. And I was thinking it would be nice to start one with moms of boys, because that seems to be a unique niche, and that would be good. So we're thinking about, you know, who wants to lead groups with different, one mom wants to do a self-care one. So then you have accountability, and then you have a place to go to share resources, and then you have a place to, like, okay, I went, you know, today, this is how I took care of myself. So you feel like you've got that built-in accountability, which is really helpful. So let's some questions, because I'm looking at the time, like we could talk for another 30 minutes. I just love what the three of you are sharing. But I have one question here. Let me see. Or do I? Oh, I have to stretch it out. Okay, Q&A. And I got one from another mom too that I will answer. Not sure if you answered this. Do you put us in groups with the approximately same age children? We did not answer that, and that is a great question. So do one of you want to answer that? I have a little something that I would say about that. But what has your experience been? Have you had moms with different age kids in your groups?
Yeah, and
And
it varies in different diagnoses and some without diagnoses, of behavioral issues. But I think that gives some variety too. But we all have something in common, whether you have a boy or a girl or somebody who's struggling with their sexual identity or somebody who has autism or not, or ADHD, you're still learning. It's more assigned by availability and time to make sure that you can be committed and come to each meeting, come to each session.
yeah. Do you have a thought about that, Shannon?
I agree. I thought it was really, when I first joined and we were hearing about all the ages of the mom, like of the children of the moms that were in the group. And I thought, oh, we're all over the place, which was, I thought, really interesting because we're getting different perspectives too. But there was always there's always a mom in the group, I found anyways, with my experiences, that we're in the same place or somewhat, like vaping, or you know what I mean? Like, behaviors that teenagers are taking on, or boys versus girls. But like I've also learned, boys and girls can each have their own challenges. I always thought, oh, girls are easier, boys are, a little more, rambunctious. But no, I think children are children. So I think that's taught me a lot too, is not to have any preconceived notions of what it's like, with other kids, and having them all over the place with ADHD or just introverts, you know what I mean? Like having social, being bullied. There's a lot of moms that are being bullied, which I think is very huge right now. And I think it's very interesting because we're learning a lot because we're all trying to navigate through that with our children to help them do the right thing, So that's what I found interesting about everybody's different ages.
Yeah. That's good. I think that a lot of times we think that, we want our kids, if they're a tween, not to maybe be in a group with moms that have teens or vice versa. And you learn from each other. And even though your situation might not be exactly the same as somebody else, you are working on some of the same things. So reactivity. I mean, we all struggle with our own reactivity and the stories that we tell ourselves, and trying to stay patient, or trying to help our kids to get their homework done without a fight. And so no matter what the age of your kid, you're going to have similarities and you're going to be able to learn from each other.
Absolutely.
So that was a very good question. Another question I had is, a mom asked about the time commitment. And what if I can't watch the actual teaching? And I said, we have audio and video available, replays, so you can do both. You also get all of the downloads and all of the printables and everything. And that doesn't even include what you get with all the other workshops that are available. But it's pretty doable with your schedule. We try to make it accessible to everyone. This time around, I'm going to do more workshops in the evening too, but the 8-week parenting program kicks off with a welcome call on the 3rd of April. And then Wednesday, the 5th of April is the first one. And then the mentor groups start up the following week. So that's how it's going to go. But it's an hour and a half. What would you say your time commitment has been being a part of it?
About 90 minutes. I allot 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for the questions and answers at the end, because the hour-long lesson, you do all the lessons, and then a little bit of half an hour for questioning and going over different things. So yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, it's very doable. And I give let's see if it printed out. And I give a little calendar, and there's an actual Facebook live coaching call I do every Friday. You can submit your questions. The moms join me with that. And then you'll see the one in black at the bottom. Then I do at the last Friday during the 8-week parenting program, I do a meetup, and it's a Zoom in-person meetup, just like this, where you're on the screen with the other moms, and different, sometimes I'll do a different topic. Sometimes you come and whatever shows up. shows up, and that's pretty amazing. I know you were at one call, Sarah, where something showed up with one of the moms, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, I'm in that same place. I've been going through this, and it was just this really special time. But this one mom was really struggling with something, and it kind of all came out that a lot of moms, or at least several were struggling with that. So we do that, and then I offer different workshops at different times. So you can make it work with your schedule, is what I'm saying. There's a lot available. But actually, what I have learned is that a lot of people leave memberships because there's too much, which I thought was so interesting, because they think, well, I'm not using it because there's too much. And so I thought that's so interesting. So we try to make it where it is bite-sized pieces, doable, you're not overwhelmed, and you can know that you are working on these things in your life. So you can see the changes, because we don't want to be too flooded with information. It gets too overwhelming. Also, a mom asked about what's the difference between doing the 8-week and then doing the coaching package. So I just want to briefly, and Liz, tell me if you've got to get off. Do you have to go?
I'm good.
Your work? Okay.
I'm good. Yeah.
I'll just speak to that really quickly. The all access includes everything, and you get additional things, but it's also 8 one-on-one 1-hour coaching sessions with me. And when you do that, you have 5 payments, and then you're a lifetime member after that. So if you feel like you need really special, more intensive one-on-one, and you know that you need that extra support to implement what you're learning, and there's things that you need to process through, then I meet one-on-one with you. So that is another option. I will also say that the mentor groups this time around, you pay for the membership, but we are charging a fee now for the mentor group, and not for the members that belonged before. They are charged half price if anybody is on here, but we are charging, because what we want is we want those that you certainly don't have to. You will get so much from the program anyway. There's just so much, and there's a whole Facebook community. But to really think and talk to me about doing the mentor group, there is a small fee. We kept it low compared to other groups. It's for the 8 weeks, but we wanted to charge because what we're learning is you got to have skin in the game. I mean, I'm just going to be 100% honest, because we had a lot of moms that signed up, but then don't come, or you come one time and then you're not coming. And so the groups are most powerful if you really want to commit. Now, of course, if you can't come one time, we understand, if you have something come up, that's understandable. But to really be in this group, be committed, because everybody benefits when everybody's fully in and fully committed. So that's why we really decided to do that. And so just so you know, because I wouldn't want anybody to sign up and then you see, oh, there's an additional charge here. I feel like it was a bait and switch. You get a lot for that 8-week parenting program without the mentor group. Yeah, another question. Okay. Do you find that moms who are not biological parents but are guardians have some different issues, because sometimes the kids have the feelings of, why am I not with my biological parent? So this is a great question. And this is something like in this inner circle, we have quite a few, including Jen, who has an adopted child. And we have foster parents that are in the group, that adopted kids. We have single moms. We have stepmoms. We have one mom in the group that has 6 kids. 4 of her kids, her best friend died of cancer, and the husband also died of cancer. And now she's raising 4 additional kids. And she's in the group. And there's different emotions that arise at different times around different things, especially in the teen years. Now, Liz, like you said, it's not always a huge issue, but there's been times it's cropped up. And I just want to say, you'll get support around that, because I want you to know you won't be alone. And I think that when they're trying to figure out who they are that can crop up. Was that your experience, Liz?
Absolutely. I didn't get the "you're not my mom" until middle school or till puberty, I guess. I think it is a big part of figuring out who she is. So we had a lot of discussion around, being chosen, and it's been a good, horrible experience both at the same time. So I think it comes up when it needs to for her. But we have always promised that when the time comes, we'll help her,
Yeah.
do whatever it is she needs to do. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I will say, having Jen as part of your group has really helped too, because she's been so open about mistakes she's made and successes she's had around things. So I think we all feel like, adopted or not, kids can be moody and obnoxious and wonderful and all of those things. So, but it definitely helps your community that you've built has really allowed for all of those things to kind of surface and have let us deal with them out there. I love that moms post successes, but I wanted to add that I love that they also post the things that they're really struggling with, because then you get to see all of the other people who are also either dealing with it or have ideas, or, that's been a gift as well.
Yeah, I know one of the moms said, sadly, I do find comfort in other moms' struggles. And it's like, but because we identify with it, and it just kind of brings it out, and then you have less shame. And when you were saying you all shared with your friends, I don't know, that was my experience, that I never shared. I didn't feel, now I share, of course, but back then I just was hiding and I didn't want to share. But then when I got into a safe group, which led me to want to do this, I didn't feel like I had to hide, or I started that like shame I felt, and that this is my fault. It was like it started just kind of falling off in chunks, I call it like the Velveteen Rabbit effect. It's like you get your fur fluffed off, then you feel like you want, you can embrace other people and be real. And because I learned to love myself more and learned to stop blaming myself. So I'm just so grateful that the three of you came on. I think it's super helpful. If anybody else, we really encourage you. We would love, I'm not speaking just for myself, I'm speaking for Jen behind the scenes, I'm speaking for Sarah and Liz and Shannon. We would love to love on you on the other side. So if you are, if you're like, I love you gals.
We love you
too, Cheryl.
Don't hesitate. I think who of you says like I think it's you, Sarah, because you were thinking therapy or this, and therapy is great. I've done therapy, lots of therapy, but it's awesome. But I just want you to know that you have a whole community here of moms to learn from. And that's the beauty of a group, is you learn from a lot of different moms that are in the trenches going through similar things. Whatever your issue is, there's going to be somebody else in there going through it. So what's your little plug as we get ready to say goodbye to everybody? And of course, reach out to me, Cheryl at momsofteensandteens.com. You can ask me any questions. I will actually even talk to you briefly on the phone if you are on the fence. Or Jen, if I get like 50 emails, then I'll send some Jen's way. But but what is one encouragement, a little popcorn encouragement you would to say, take a chance and sign up? You want to go first, Shannon?
Sure. I would say to any mom wondering or thinking, is this for me, or I'm too shy? Take the plunge. I felt the same way. I've never looked back. I've never regretted that decision. It was scary at first, but it changes. It changes, and just follow the process, like trust the process. I feel like I'm a way better, more improved version of myself now. I feel like a better human. I feel like a better mom. And I parent differently, and I see my children differently. That is the gift. I see my children differently. I'm allowing them to be who they are and to bloom for where they are and where they're planted. So
You're
that's my
saying, Liz. Thank you, Shannon. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's great.
It's that last part. I am a better parent. I'm completely with you, Shannon. I
Yeah.
listen more. I back my daughter up more. I listen to myself more. I respect myself more. I'm terrible at boundaries still. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. Yeah. But when I fail, I apologize. And mine does counseling and has said, I'm not sure I need it anymore. Things are really getting better. I really feel like they have my back and understand me. And that was such a huge thing for me. And for us in general, we're really trying to let her figure out who she is and respect her and meet her where she is. And this group has so helped me have the courage to do that and to fall and get up again, because we all fall and we all get up again, but there's a lot of people there to help you get back up and to support you in this journey. And that's why I'm still here and still loving that I get to be with these women. So
That's so awesome, Liz. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
Yay.
Sarah, you want to give a parting word?
Both Liz and Shannon just nailed it on the head, hit the nail on the head. It's just so, it's easy to be a part of something when you get so much back. And it helps you really learn about yourself and that we're not perfect and you may take one step forward and 2 steps back, and it's okay to ask your kids for a redo. I know there's one of my stories is out there on the Facebook page about, I didn't handle that correctly. Can we start over? And your kids are learning from you, and they're learning from your mistakes, and they're learning how to communicate better, and they learn how to express their emotions in a healthy way. And as long as you give them that opportunity, our house is so much more pleasant. I was just listening to Shannon earlier about slamming doors, and I'm like, when was the last time we slammed a door in my house? Like, it's been about 8 months since somebody has slammed a door. And I know one time recently, I actually said, I stood up and I said, I need to take a walk, because if I don't walk away, I'm going to say something I'm going to regret. And I took a walk in the rain, in the dark, 20 minutes. And my son, Mom, where are you? Are you all right? I said, I'm fine. I needed to take a walk. I'm almost home. I'll come and talk to you when I get back. Okay. And, we
Aw.
talked it through, and, relationship with my husband has changed. Our kids are seeing our relationship more positive. And the worst case scenario, you join and it's not a good fit, but I'm going to tell you, that's not going to happen. And you're going to be a lifer. It's just going to happen.
Just like you guys. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This was so good. Thank you for coming on. I know all the moms that have come on have felt so encouraged by what you shared and your stories and your struggles and all that you're learning. And I hope, of course, every single person on here will join, but we love you anyway, even if you don't. And we are here waiting for you when you're ready. And and thank you. Thank you for each of you that you are, in the inner circle. And I love and appreciate you so much, each one of you. So
Thank you,
for
Cheryl.
being here.
Thanks,
thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you for everything.
All right, everybody have a great day or great evening. And any questions, you can email me at Cheryl@momswithtweensandteens.com. Okay. Yeah. See you on the other side.
Have a
All
great
right.
day, ladies. Bye.
Bye.